Welcome, everyone. This is episode 17 of the 300 Club podcast. My name is Gilbert. We got Kelvin as a co-host.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for watching the 300 Club podcast. This is episode 17 now. We are beginning of September, going into playoffs. We got a lot of stuff they want to talk about. It's going to be a Yankees and Mets pulse check. See how's everybody doing, how the Mets are doing, how the Yankees are doing. More importantly, how are you doing, Gil?
I'm fine, man. I like that the weather's cooling off a little bit. We got some softball this weekend too. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope we get good weather. And my Mets are rolling, man. I'm happy. I saw the game the last few nights. I've been excited against the Red Sox. We swept them, and I'm excited, man. Looking forward to
Yeah.
talking about them.
Yeah. We got a lot to discuss. For those that are watching, make sure you guys like, subscribe. Thank you so much for supporting us. We're gonna have all the links down in the description for you guys to follow us. And let's go ahead and get into it. As of right now, the Mets are doing a whole lot better than the Yankees. I'll tell you that much. As I go ahead and share my screen really quick, give me a second here. And let's get into it. So, as a quick pulse check right now, we got the Mets, who right now got the seventh best record in the National League. Go ahead and share some thoughts and opinion, Gil.
I'm excited, man. I feel like we've climbed up a lot in the standings. We've been able
Yeah.
to stay within realm of the playoff picture. Unfortunately, Atlanta has won some games too, the D-backs and alongside the Padres, so we haven't been able to make up as much ground as we wanted to. But as long as we take care of business, I feel like the Cards fall where they fall, and is a great position to be at starting September. Only half a game out, 7 game win streak. We're the hottest team right now, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. And I actually saw I overheard a report, I forgot who it was, that said that out of everybody right now in the National Leagues, they said that the Padres are better. They like the Arizona Diamondbacks hitting, and they got good pitching to go along with it. The A's are known for winning, and then you have the Mets,
Days.
the Braves. I'm sorry, the Braves, and that they have a winning culture, and then you have the Mets right behind them. So I don't know, man. I understand that going into the playoffs is gonna be a crapshoot, but as of right now, bro, I do like my chances with the Mets.
Oh yeah.
More than the Braves, especially like if you look at their last 10 games, the Mets are 8-2, while the Braves are 6-4, and they're riding on a 7 game winning streak right now. They are red hot. And it's just good to see, man.
I just feel like the Braves calendar is not as sustainable only because again, like most of the starters are injured, And I feel like eventually that's just gonna keep trending downwards as they have been the last 30 days.
Yeah.
I would like to say though that besides the Mets, I don't think any other team has a chance to make the playoffs. Like yeah, the Cubs are 4.5 games back, which is better than I expected, but I think it's a little too far considering the momentum of the Mets, the Padres, and the D-backs, for them to make that ground up, I feel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. But we shall see. I mean, I told you about a couple episodes ago, I think 2 episodes ago, and we're talking about this probably mid-August, that the Mets playoffs have started.
Yes, with the
You
brutal
know,
schedule too. Yeah.
right, and then now you're beginning to see a lot of the teams on the at the top who's essentially their playoffs are just beginning, like the Yankees, for example. They need to start winning a lot of these games that's coming up. But one of the points that you wanted to bring up is just how successful they have been as of late, and the Mets particularly. As I go ahead and share my screen here, you can see that the Mets record since they had a team meeting is 53-31. As a Met fan, go ahead and share your opinions on this.
I'm happy, man. I feel like we made a tremendous turnaround in May. May was awful, dreadful, but we took care of business, man. I believe we were tied for the best record in that stretch with the
Yeah.
D-backs. If not, we have the best record. We took off. I feel like the hitting got better. The pitching got into a zone. Yeah, we felt we dealt with some injuries, but we were able to overcome. Starting Marte came back. That's always an essential player, despite him being older and injury prone. JD Martinez, he cooled off a bit, but then he came back and rejuvenated a bit. Francisco Alvarez has been pretty cold at the plate, but his defense, I mean, behind the plate, his leadership, his chemistry with the pitching rotation, like it's still phenomenal. I believe Jack McNeil picked it up tremendously after the All-Star break too, despite his season numbers being pretty bad.
Yeah.
Lindor has been on the tear since the All-Star break, like MVP worthy numbers in the National League. So I feel like that's just part of it, and he's quote unquote the team captain, even though there's no C on his chest. So he took the team behind his back. Some players stepped down, but as a team we stepped up, and I'm just happy for the outcomes.
Yeah, yeah, and Luis Severino also, former
Oh
Yankee, has
yeah,
been stepping
phenomenal.
up. And we're gonna dive into some of these players that we want to highlight here as we go ahead and share some of this information for you guys. One of the tweets that you wanted to discuss today was this one by Mets Muse. On May 29th, the Mets were 11 games under 500 with the third worst record in the NL. After being tied for Arizona for the best record in the MLB since that date, 53 at 32, the Mets were 11 games over 500 and just a half game back of the wild card spot. That's huge. That's huge. I'm so
Talk
glad.
about
Yeah.
a what is it, 22 game turnaround? That's
Yeah.
that's hard, bro. That's hard to be in the thick of it to still be this late into the playoff race. Like that shows character within the team, and they were able to let go of expectations, take it a day at a time, win the games that you're supposed to win, try to split the games that are a little challenging, and this is the result of that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. No, absolutely. Great points there. And one of the players that you wanted to highlight was Jesse Winker on the Mets, who's had a 306 average, 811 OPS, 3 home runs, and 13 RBIs. One of the home runs being a walk-off. Very emotional win for the Mets. It's been a great pickup since the trade deadline. Any thoughts and observations that you want to share on Jesse Winker?
I like the fact that, like I mentioned earlier, he's a New Yorker. He's from Buffalo. I feel like
Oh, wow.
he always wanted to play for the Mets. Now he got a chance.
Oh, wow. That's
I feel like the
cool.
fans are embracing him after he was in the Reds, and we were like going back and forth with him, but it was all out of the love of the sport. I also like the fact that for the majority of his career, he's been a starter, and now that he got traded to the Mets, he's not like a day-to-day starter, but he's bought in with the role. He said he's happy to be here to be with a team contending for a playoff spot in New York City. The fans are active, supportive. He's having the time of his life. He's ready to play whenever his number is called, platooning between DHing sometimes or playing on the field because, JD Martinez is out for paternity leave for a few days. So he's just ready there. He had a grand slam yesterday to set the tone. So I feel like he's just a tremendous player. Pete Alonso is one of his best friends too. He knows Lindor for some time, so it's like he's not a complete stranger to the team. I feel like he acclimated himself really well to the team, and I'm he's excited to have a piece like that. And as the season winds down, I'm pretty sure he's going to get even more playing time, depending on the hot bat or matchups and whatnot. So I like the Mets move this trade deadline. I feel like that's a W there.
Right. And then to piggyback off of something that you mentioned earlier, you mentioned a key word, and that was character and the character of this team. And I feel like when you have the likes of Jesse Winker, who is known for playing every day, to kind of step back and take it day by day. Some days he might start, other days he might not, especially facing a lefty. Anytime you add a player like that onto a team, I mean, it only adds great character, especially leading up to a playoff run. Like you kind of need the team to mesh well. And I think that the Mets have been a perfect example of just being able to get it together, mesh well, have that continuity, and just, at the end of the day, look at where they're at right now. They're in the playoff hunt when a lot of people didn't expect for that to happen. As we segue into something where at the beginning of the year, we were questioning whether or not it was going to happen, and that was going to be the emergence of Francisco Lindor. We were very critical of him at the early part of the season, and now
Yeah.
he's riding a 15-game hitting streak, arguably in the MVP conversation. He's been batting 344, 1.1. 81 OPS, 6 home runs, 12 RBIs, and his on base streak is now up to 33 games. Phenomenal.
I, I
What?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, let's just go ahead. Take it away. I was going to pass it off
I
to you.
just I just feel like I love this dude's turnaround. I love the fact that he's shutting the haters wrong. Like this is I believe year 3 or year 4 with the Mets. He's getting acclimated to the New York media, the market. He still has not been an All Star, which is shocking to me. And I feel like
Yeah,
that's going
I
to be a
know.
slap to the riders going into next season. Additionally, I like the fact that I saw a stat that says that if Lindor gets going, the Mets have a high win percentage versus days that he doesn't get hits or he doesn't get on base. So I feel like as long as he gets going, I feel like that team, like he spreads the energy to the team. And he's a leadoff hitter too. Ever since he became a leadoff hitter, he's been taking off. So I feel like he's just setting the tone every time he's batting. And right now, from what I observed from Lindor, he's not striking out much. He's hitting the ball where it's coming. The ball looks like a volleyball to him, and he's hitting the ball hard and putting it in play, and that's all you can ask for, on the offensive side.
Yeah, and he's in our generation, he's arguably one of the best shortstops that we've seen, especially
Yes,
in terms of consistency. And
yes,
we've been extremely critical of him because we were waiting on him to take that jump. But I
yeah.
think we might have been looking at, everything's give and take, more or less. It's very hard that you're going to be able to find a 5 tool player like the Mike Trouts of the world and so on. A person that can do it all. Francisco Lindor, yeah, his batting average might not be as high, but he makes it up defensively. in phenomenal ways. He's one of the top defensive shortstops in the league. So it's more of his impact, his leadership.
And he has the
I
power too, you
He
know.
hits for power and he hits from both sides of the plate, plays a very demanding position. Like he does a lot for this team. And sometimes it may not show on the stat sheet, but one cannot deny the fact that his impact on this team has led them to where they are right now.
And I saw a stat that once he hit 30 home runs in a day, that only Alex Rodriguez is in front of him for shortstops with most seasons with 30 plus homers. I believe Lindor, this is Lindor's fifth season hitting 30 plus home runs. Alex Rodriguez got 7 seasons at shortstop hitting 30 plus home runs. So that's a great category to be in. We're talking about one of the greatest players of all time, and you're comparing him, you know. So again, I know we were highly critical of him in the beginning, but that's also because the Mets were losing. Like, two things can be true. But in
I
hindsight, in
agree.
the future, when we look back, this guy's gonna go down as one of the best shortstops in the game has ever seen on both sides of the ball, you know?
I agree. I agree. Solid points there. Very well said. You actually wanted to dive into the Mets roster really quickly in terms
Yes.
of their starting lineup. We have Francisco Alvarez as the catcher, Pete Alonso as the first baseman, Jeff McNeil as the second baseman, Francisco Lindor the shortstop. Third base, we got Mark Vientos, who at the beginning of the year we didn't even think he was going to be in the majors. But the injury to Ronnie Mauricio definitely opened up the door for him. Brent Beatty also struggling, and now Vientos pretty much took his job. We're gonna dive into Vientos a little bit after this. Brandon Nimmo, Harrison Bader, Starling Marte round up the outfield. And you have JD Martinez. Solid pickup this year. What are some thoughts and opinions that you wanted to share on the Mets roster?
So I wanted to highlight if you look at the OPS plus on this team, right? Out of the projected starters based on games played, right? Only let me see, only three of them have under 100 OPS plus. So that means that most of the players in that starting lineup is an above average baseball player in the major leagues. They're above average players.
Right.
For example, you look at Vientos, he has a phenomenal OPS plus in so limited game. He only had 90 games, bro. And look at the OPS plus. Tremendous. Lindor, he picked it up tremendously, 138 OPS plus. Pete Alonso having a down year. He's still an above average player. He's still hitting over 30 home runs.
Yep.
And yeah, man, that's just a testament to how deep this team is. Then if you look at the bench, that doesn't show that you got guys like Jesse Winker. You got guys like Jose Iglesias. I would love to have players like that on my bench. Those are good quality veteran players, that add dynamic. They
Yep.
are versatile on defense. They are a spark plug. I feel like the addition, like we mentioned earlier, with Jose Iglesias, this dude has transformed the whole vibe of the clubhouse. Everybody's like, oh my God, having fun,
Mm.
and
Being
and
loose, exactly.
being loose, being available, being ready. Then he got Luis Torrens too. Like it's just a lot of players that are above average players in this team, and there's a lot of depth, and that's all you can ask for. You want to have a team that's very balanced top to bottom, even if you don't play every day, but they're ready to play and they're ready to contribute. That's what
Yep.
I wanted to highlight.
I will say that this team reminds me of a team that's just all about like, and I mean this in no disrespect, but a good team could have a team full of, players that are like 80 overall players or like B level type players that are they're not
Yeah,
all stars, but they're great contributors and they're just great players, period, or
yeah,
good players, period. And I feel like this Mets team definitely does have that, regardless of what MLB the show says. But but I feel like once you have a team that's just that well balanced, and then you have your studs there who like the Francisco Lindors of the world, and then you have the rookie sensation as in Mark Vientos, who's having a phenomenal year this year as a rookie year. 284 average, 22 home runs, over 80 RBIs. Yo, that's a season for most people. So I feel like you can make it far with that sort of lineup. It's very well balanced, and we still see going into playoffs. Another thing that you wanted to highlight was actually the Mets pitching staff as well. Let me go ahead and share this really quickly for the audience to see. The rotation with Lisa Reno, Sean Manaea, Jose Quintana, David Peterson, Tyler Mahil, and Christian Scott. By the way, your ace, Carter Singer, has pretty much been out all year, all but one start. It's crazy.
So what I wanted to highlight was like if we were to make the playoffs, like I'm fine with having Severino, Manaya, and Peterson as my three this season. Like the way they've been pitching this year in big games. Severino has, if you look at his ERA, you might look like, damn, it's not elite, but it's pretty good considering he's a middle of a rotation pitcher. Same thing with
Yeah.
Manaya. Same thing with Peterson. Peterson is having arguably his best season ever. I didn't think he will have this comeback, and he's having a 9-1. He had a career high 11 strikeouts against the Red Sox. He's only lost one game. Those are All-Star numbers if he started the season earlier in the bigs this year. Manaya is arguably our ace this year. This dude has been on a streak the last, let's say, 6, 7 starts from what I've seen from him. His all speed is getting pitchers. I mean, his all speed is getting hitters out of balance. He has a similar release point as like Chris Sale, somewhat ish. So I guess
Hmm.
that's adding deception to his pitching. He's taking a ball every 5 days, going 7 innings strong, and he just carrying the team on his back. Then you
Yep.
got guys like Quintana that he somehow might get hits and sometimes might be there, but that's a veteran pitcher that can give you one solid start if you need him to. And lastly, to finish off, I read reports that Kodai Senga might pitch again this season before the season ends.
Oh, that's phenomenal
Therefore,
news.
therefore, if we gonna make the playoffs, he'll be eligible for the playoff roster because he pitched before August 31st. So I feel like so I read I think if you play one game before August 31st, you're eligible to be in the playoff roster. So I feel like you throw a combination of like Senga maybe as a reliever or even as a starter, like 5 innings. You have Peterson, you have Severino and Manaya. That's a solid 4-man rotation in the playoffs. I feel like I could be solid with that. You know what I mean? So just wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, yeah, and I also wanted to mention Shamana is the only pitcher on your team that, according to his innings, has more strikeouts than the innings pitch that he's thrown. He's at
Yeah.
154 strikeouts versus 150 innings, and that's just a testament as to, like you said before, veteran presence, knows how to pitch, and he's been pitching really, really well. I wanted to share. There's other point that you wanted to bring up as I go ahead and look for the um link here. Give me 1 second. Here
Yeah.
it is.
To highlight.
Shamanaya.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, I just wanted to highlight like his what you wanted to share was his baseball reference page. He has his 2.8 WAR. I mean this dude is a vet, man. I'm so happy that he's been pitching really well for the Mets. I feel like you always need to have a starter like this. And if you compare him to a similar sighting where it's a veteran taking a pretty much a team friendly deal,
Yeah.
big lights in New York, comparing him to a Marcus Stroman, statistically, who would you rather have right now?
This
Shaman
year, I'm
I
taking Manaya.
Exactly, and it's just crazy how that works out. But another person that we wanted to highlight here and get dive deep a little bit further in is Mark Vientos, third baseman, rookie for the Mets this year. 2.8 WAR also has 22 home runs, as we mentioned. 58 RBIs. I think I mentioned it in 80 something. It was 58. On base
Yeah.
percentage 339. I mean, this dude is arguably going to be in the rookie of the year competition, no doubt. It's just the competition that he has above right now is extremely tough. You have the Paul Skeens of the world, and then you also have the Jackson Merrill of the San Diego Padres. But Vientos has definitely showed out this year. I think he could be a definite staple at that third base position for years to come.
So I did read, if you look further in baseball reference, I actually had that question yesterday. Is he eligible for rookie of the year? And they say no because they saying that last season he technically qualified as rookie. I'm guessing it's because his playing
Wow.
time 2 years ago, he got like about 16 games, and last year he had 65 games. So I feel like he probably reached a certain threshold in at bats, and I made him a rookie last year. Nonetheless, though, if he was this is his first full season. If he was a rookie this year, I think he's in a conversation with Paul Skeens and Jackson Merrill. I also wanted to highlight he's only played 90 games and he said 22 home runs and his WAR is 2.8. Like, you know how hard it is to get a 2.8 WAR in just 90 games? Like, this dude is really a game changer. And when you watch him day in and day out, you love this guy. Like, this dude hits the ball everywhere. Yesterday, I seen him in a clutch situation. It was a high pitch, like I would say, like letter high, shoulder high. And instead of getting under it and popping it up or swinging and missing, he just got linear with the ball and slapped it up the middle as a line drop single. Like I love the adjustment that he's making. He's willing to go oppo. He's willing to pull it, and he's hitting the ball hard. Like you hear it in the TV. You'd be like, you know. So I just love this dude. I wish him well, and I hope he's our cornerstone third baseman for the
Yeah,
foreseeable.
and like I mentioned before, is this a testament to, the vibes of the Mets right now? They're rolling. They got the oh my God celebration. Imagine what that does for a person who is not as seasoned in the MLB to be in around an environment that's just so loose. And the continuity of that team, I mean, it shows through the TV. They're singing oh my God after the game. They're just a very supportive group, and it's amazing to see. I know this is a Yankees and Mets podcast, and I represent the Yankees on this side, but to see the Mets have this sort of vibes on their team. It's phenomenal to see, bro. It's No complaints here. No complaints here. But I do want to complain about a lot right now. We're gonna get into the Yankees because I really, really want to share. Um, Oh, one more thing before we actually switch into the Vientos thing. The fact that this dude has a 145 WRC plus, which ranks number one across all third basemen in the MLB. That's with
Yeah,
the likes of Rafael Devers, Jose Ramirez, who I think is extremely underrated. Another potential rookie of the year, Jordan Westberg, Jose Miranda, Alec Bohm, Matt Chapman, who also signed an extension, and Manny Machado, who's been having a down year, as well as Alex Bregman. Josh
that's
Smith
crazy.
from Texas got to be respected, but comparing the list here. Mark Vincent is actually number one. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like if he's basically arguably that list is saying that he's the best third baseman since he got pulled up this year, and that's
Exactly.
crazy considering the list of juggernauts you have in that list. You know, so
It
shout out
is
to
a
him.
yeah, it is a big list of juggernauts. Um, a team that has not been a juggernaut, and that is the New York Yankees, man. As we want to go ahead and share the standings here. The Yankees have been 40 and 41 since, well, in the past 81 games, actually, which is absurd. They're literally below 500. We've done so well at the start of the year that has carried over up until now, but this is the point where we need to start turning that corner. We have the Orioles as number one, the Guardians is number two. The Astros 75 and 65, even though they play less games than us. The Yankees are number four right now. Which is very this picture could be very confusing. For example, like the O's, the Guardians, and the Yankees, and you could throw the Astros up there. Like, there's not a lot of games that actually separate them in terms of their standings. Like, they're all pretty much tied. Then you have the Twins, the Royals, the Red Sox, the Tigers, the Mariners. I'm not going to mention the rest of the teams here. I think out of all these teams, I think the team that is more likely to make a push is probably, excuse me, is probably going to be the Royals. I like how their roster is constructed. MVP potential and Bobby Witt Jr. But at the end of the day, the Yankees need to turn it around. They're 4-6 in the past 10 games. We're in now the beginning of September. We need to start turning that corner. Any opinions
Question.
you want to share?
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Yep.
You mentioned earlier that the Yankees started phenomenal the first 2 months, I would say the first, what, 60, 65 games, right? And then you have the Mets where they started kind of rocky. They were 11 games under, and then they picked it up in May. So
Literally
now,
the tale of two different teams. Literally
so
the complete opposite.
as a fan and
Hmm.
as a player, which version of teams would you rather be on? Remove Yankees being Yankees and Mets being Mets. Just Team A and Team B representing the records like that, right? In the breakdowns. I feel like if I'm playing and I'm a fan also, I feel like I would rather be the team that's heating up towards the playoffs than starting hot and gaining that ground. And you're hovering, but your production, your play has decreased, and now you're getting into bad habits, bad performances, heading into the playoffs. I feel like that's easier to spiral out of control. What do you think on that?
If you had to label as the caliber of the Yankees team right now being team A and the Mets vibe right now being team B, I'm rolling with team B, bro. It's we're getting close into playoffs. At this point in time, the Mets have built that level of chemistry, that continuity, that momentum into the position that they're at now. And it's not something they need to practice 2 weeks before the playoffs start. It's something that needs to be practiced and be built all throughout the year. And I think that the Mets have done a phenomenal job at doing that. Now, the Yankees at this point, they've been collapsing slowly but surely. It's been a slow dying death. There's a lot of questions in regards to our franchise. Understand that we have a lot of expectations and stuff. We have a lot of people who are potential free agents, but all of this could have been different by doing one thing and one thing alone. I question whether or not the people that we have on the field right now is the best possible roster. And that's what I feel like is the main problem. So,
Yeah.
again, do I want to be a part of a team that's their best roster is literally not playing every day and there's a lot of question marks there? Or do I rather be in the team that the vibes are just immaculate? The momentum is definitely there. The continuity, they can lose, and I'm pretty sure they're still going to have fun. The Yankees can lose, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of pressure there. It's just different. The vibes are definitely off there. I want to go ahead and share uh the roster construction on the Yankees right now because this has been something totally different. I want to dive into first and foremost the pitching staff. Going into the season, the pitching staff was actually very questionable. We weren't sure what we were gonna get because a lot of the starters that we had were, a lot of question marks. How Marcus Stroman was going to respond to New York. Clark Schmidt, second year in the league. How is he going to respond? You also have Luis Hill, who we didn't know him being a rookie this year, it was going to be throwing the ball this good. Garrett Cole went down. He missed out on half the year. And he was the AL Cy Young Award winner last year. Carlos Rodon, this is probably the best year that he's had with the Yankees, and his ERA is still above a 4. Like, I don't understand it. So, and we didn't even pick up another pitcher in before the season even started. So when I'm looking at the starting rotation, I will say this: they've been relatively healthy, and that was a huge question mark because I feel like we were 1 or 2 injuries away to having our pitching staff being total dog poop.
Right.
Uh, but now we're gonna have a lot of people coming back. Like Carl Schmidt is scheduled to pitch for us over the weekend. Luis Hill as well. There are some talks that Nestor Cortez is gonna be throwing out of the bullpen. Depending on how Luis Hill and Clark Schmidt's start is gonna go. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, dude. I feel like we need to go to a 6-man rotation to preserve
Everybody.
yeah, to preserve everybody. Honestly,
Yeah.
you have 2 pitchers coming back from injury. You have Garrett Cole, who this year hasn't really been the healthiest, but that's what happens when you age, and there's a lot of mileage on that arm. And then you have Marcus Stroman, who's shown that after the season, midway through the season, he tends to slow down a little bit. So I just feel like a 6-man rotation is definitely something that we should do. Going to playoffs, do a 3-man to 4-man rotation, and whoever the hottest 4 are, just go with that. At the end of the day, it's a team sport. So
I also want to highlight, like, again, it's a lot of question marks with the pitching rotation. Like, for example, Luis Hill, he's still arguably within probably the realms of rookie of the year for the AL. I don't know if he's favored anymore, but he's within the conversation. But I want to highlight that I believe from his first 12 starts or 10 starts, his ERA was under 2, if I'm not mistaken.
hmm
He's
hmm
pitching phenomenal. And now, what, 24 starts in, he's already at 340. Like, don't get me wrong, that's still good numbers, but it shows you like he's been getting hit more as the season has progressed,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. There was
The
definitely
ERA has skyrocketed. Garrett
yeah,
Cole,
yeah,
the ERA is not horrible, but it's not to his standards, and it's not where the Yankees want him to be at. He still needs to be better than that. So that's something to be concerned about as well. Marcus Stroman, like you mentioned, he just falls off in the second half, or maybe he's arm fatigue. I did see a video, I think last week, of someone breaking down his mechanics from when he was in Toronto to now, and there's like less torque to his body. Like for example, I think part of it is age and his height too. Because I remember in Toronto, like he was never like a super flamethrower, but he could top you like 96, 95. Now his average fastball is like low 90s now, He's
yeah,
not really hitting 95 consistently like that no more. And part of it again, he's also on the flip side of 30, but he's also what, like 5'9", 5'10". So
yeah,
that's not it's hard for him to generate that much whip and oomph, to generate that speed and that arm velocity. So I feel like now that his velo has dropped down, plus he's always been a contact pitcher, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. And I actually wanted to highlight something really quickly. Luis Hill, he's gotten rocked with the past three couple of starts. I mean, it could have been fatigue. I mean, his back started flaring up. But again, we don't expect him to have his ERA at 3.40. So I'll
No,
take that right now.
no, for
The
sure.
Marcus Stromans and the Carlos Rodons of the world, and even the Nestor Cortezes, that 4 ERA, even though it's just above 4, I mean, they had a couple of rough starts here and there. The bullpen has definitely let them down. But dude, like these are vets that should be better. At the end of the day, they should be better.
Yeah, they putting pretty much number 5 starter quality numbers, I would say, and I think
I
they should
agree.
be better than that. Um, and it's tough because you mentioned like the Yankees got up to a great start, but part of it is because we didn't know what we were going to expect out of the pitching, and I feel like they super exceeded expectations drastically the first two
Yep.
months. Like they were like the best pitching rotation in the league, arguably, for the first like 2 months, and it just slowly started falling apart. Like skipping
Yeah.
starts or injuries, which is normal. It happens, but if I ask you, if the playoffs start tomorrow, like who's the 3 guys you're putting out there to pitch that you feel confident about winning?
Garrett Cole, number one. Um, But here's the thing, like I said, it's an organizational issue. I feel like the Yankees are put in situations where they don't want to omit certain things, and I'm gonna dive into that with our next point. But because Garrett Cole's the ace, automatic, he's gonna be the number one starter. That's a must. Number two is gonna be Carlos Rodon, not because of his performance, but because he gets paid to do that. Number
And he
two,
has to fix
right.
swinging too.
And
So
then three and possibly four are just it's question marks, honestly. Like people would throw Clark Schmidt in there, but again, last year as a rookie, he did all right. Going into this year, he did well, while every other pitcher was also doing well. But for all we know, he could have had a 5 ERA today. You don't know. So Luis Hill being a rookie, I think he's going to be moved into the bullpen. I feel like the bullpen definitely needs him right now. Um, so it's just a question mark. I will say that Nestor Cortez, I feel like under the bright lights, he turns into a gamer. And, I would love to see that on the playoffs. I wonder how he's going to, and he's more seasoned than anybody else, if I'm not mistaken. So,
man, I don't know. And it's like I'm gonna give you an example. Like I don't really want to compare like Mets and Yankees in terms of like roster, but you kind of have to in a sense. So like if you were to compare the Yankees potential three starters into the playoffs of the Mets three, I feel like based on the trends, I rather pick the Mets three. Like based
yeah,
on the last like seven starts, the way they've been pitching, how they're pitching. I just feel like a little more trustworthy in that three than the Yankees three personally.
I agree. I agree. I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
And
At all,
then
at all.
And then another take is that I've seen somewhere online that maybe they should consider Luis Gil to be the closer temporarily. My
Yeah.
question to you is, do you think that affects him being from a starter that is potential rookie of the year conversation has pitched well this year to just limit him to one inning or two innings of the bullpen
Um,
mid-season? How do you feel about that?
Number one, he doesn't have a choice because he's a rookie, and at the end of the day, if the decision is made, like that's just something that he has to just own up and do. That's just I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like there's no argument there, bro. You're not like a Garrett Crochet, for example, who has thrown the ball better and can at least say that, the Yankee organization is not the type of organization to do that either. I feel like Luis Hill being in the bullpen, I feel like it's honestly speaking, bro. I think it's a bigger wild card. The reason why is because when he's off, it's his control. So essentially, let's say if you have him close out games, but he starts walking everybody, it's kind of tough. So I just feel like the Yankees are not best equipped in terms of the bullpen. And we're having a lot of people come back, like Ian Hamilton. Scott Effers just made his season debut a couple of days ago and stuff like that. Luke Weaver has been a great pitcher, but he's been struggling lately. Mark Leiter Jr. has shown his flaws. Our bullpen, I want to go ahead and share the screen really quickly. Our bullpen has not been the best thing ever. Another thing that hasn't really been the best thing ever, it's just been our roster, man. Like I said, I do not believe that we have the best roster out there right now. We look at Austin Wells, another person who's a rookie, potential rookie of the year candidate as well. Though I don't think he's gonna win it, but he's definitely up there in the conversation. Anthony Rizzo, who just came back from injury, Gleyber Torres, who since been on the playoffs, excuse me, since he's been a leadoff hitter, he's been hitting extremely well, but might be a little bit too late. Anthony Volpe, who as inconsistent as they come, 1 week everybody's saying that he's hitting, the next couple of weeks he's in a slump. I don't understand it. Oswaldo Cabrera is an example of the Yankees just not giving the rookies enough opportunity to play, and he's at fault, and the Yankees are at fault for that. Alex Verdugo, we're gonna dive into that a little bit further, and then the outfield, the rest of the outfield is with Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and then the DH as in Giancarlo Stanton. Really, really slept on, but Giancarlo Stanton, even though it's not up to his power, his caliber, he nearly is hitting 30 home runs this year, and I'll take that, especially being that he missed a month and a half of the season.
Can you put the graphic a little higher real quick? Yes.
Yep.
So I want to speak on this roster. I agree with you. I don't think the Yankees are putting the best roster to win every single game possible. If you look at the roster, comparing it to the Mets, look at the OPS plus. A lot of players under 100, bro, and that are starters, bro. That means that you have arguably what is it, five, right? Five
Yeah,
players that
five
are
of them.
below average players in baseball right now, and they're playing every single game, bro.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that kills you, bro. That kills you. And don't get me wrong, Judge, 220 OPS plus. This
He's
guy's
making
a
it up,
god.
right? Juan
He's a
Soto too.
god. Soto, he's a god. Sang, a still above average player. Wells, above average players, but that bulk in the starting lineup without Soto, Judge, and Stanton, bro, like they've carried so much, bro, that it's impressive how good this Yankee team has been in terms of record, bro. But it shows when the losses come, the flaws, and it gets exposed, like magnified. It's a
Yeah.
lot of below average players that shouldn't be playing every
Y-
single game. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned Glaber, for example. You said he's been better as a leadoff hitter. I still don't trust that, bro, because for example, there's games where let's say the Yankees are down one in the ninth inning, 2 outs, Glaber is batting, like he's likely not getting on base, bro. When you have Soto and Judge after you, to get a
Hmm.
rally going, and you need that as a first hitter, you need to get on base somehow, bro. Whether that's walks, fielder's choice, whatever, by any means necessary. And I feel like Labor does not put the ball in play enough to him to be justified as the first batter. But that's also a problem of the Yankees organizational structure. Now you talk about before we get into Verdugo, I know you really want to talk
Yeah,
about him.
yeah.
You got a guy like Anthony Volpe. A lot of Yankee fans are really excited about this kid, but I feel like his sitting is still not there, bro. And I feel like a guy that's playing shortstop and is that quick, but his OBP is so low, like it's a detrimental to your team too, bro. Like you're not really being productive at anything on the offensive side in the game. Like ideally, he should be your first hitter to set up the table for the rest of the guys. But if he can't get on base and he's striking out so much, it's like, damn, bro. Like you
I
know,
know, I know. Yeah, you're not fulfilling the role.
you're not
Glaber,
you're not passing the baton, bro.
exactly. And Gleyber Torres is strictly just leading off because he sees the most amount of pitches in the MLB. But that's the only reason why he's leading off. And I get the logic of it. It's been working out for us because he sees a lot of pitches, and then you have Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. He's not your stereotypical leadoff hitter. He sees a lot of pitches, but again, just because he sees a lot of pitches doesn't necessarily mean that he gets on bases quite often.
So
You know?
it's like so is it worthy going based on analytics saying that he's deserving to be first because we feel like he sees the most pitches so he can set the table for the guys. But if he's not getting on base, how strong is that analytic suggestion or decision? You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly. And then one of the things I want to dive into is going to be Alex Verdugo. Like I mentioned before, I don't think we have the best roster out there. And one of the things that I feel like could have alleviated the roster, especially the leadoff position, the leadoff hole, could have been Jason Dominguez. But no, we're rolling with Alex Verdugo, somebody who's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I get it. The team loves him. He's a great vibe. I understand it, but guess what? We're trying to win a world championship, and sometimes these
Now,
tough decisions need to be made. Exactly. And unfortunately, Alex Verdugo, at the end of the day, it's his problem to deal with. He's a 235 hitter, 11 home runs, 56 RBIs. Even though he's hit a little bit better since he got the diagnosis that he's allergic to batting gloves, he still has not been fitting the bill. I look at his numbers right now, and I know that Jason Dominguez could definitely put up better numbers. Not only that, but he's even more of a stolen base threat. So again, he could definitely fulfill that leadoff hitter position. But for some reason, the Yankees didn't even bring him up. And it's like, how much longer are you gonna have him wait? The playoffs is less than a month away. You're gonna have him come back and get less than a month's worth of MLB time before playoffs, where you're gonna be playing against the best of the best. But no, they're gonna continue to roll with Alex Verdugo. I don't want to go into much of a rant about this. At the end of the day, I fuck with Alex Verdugo. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great human being. But at the end of the day, we have to win a
something's
championship
not
right
clicking.
now. Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's just like, yo, like at the end of the day, competition brings out the best of you. If there's a young buck that's coming up in the major leagues, and now you guys are fighting for playing time to be on the playoff roster, at the end of the day, that's what's gonna make the team much more successful. Like instead of being down 4-3 against the Texas Rangers, we could have been up 7-3. You
yeah.
know, if we had a better player out there, but that wasn't the case.
And
Instead,
and
yeah.
again, it hurts, bro, because look, his OBP is it's under 300. Mind you, 300 is still pretty bad as an OBP. But if you're getting under 30% if you're getting on base less than 30%, bro, like you're not really that productive. You're not that useful. You're not that positive for
Yeah.
your team. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a negative WAR, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like you have Aaron Boone's of the world that's like protecting him, and that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like the Yankees are just not the organization to admit when they're wrong, and I feel like they try to play the franchise and just lie and just make up excuses. And at the end of the day, you guys invest so much money into these players to fulfill a certain role that when they do not fulfill that role, you guys don't take accountability for it. And it's like, dude, that's fine. Just make the necessary decisions. If you go ahead and put Jason Dominguez up right now, I'm pretty sure nobody's gonna care what happens to Alex Verdugo, you
No,
know? And he's not
no.
even on the team next year. But
Yo,
I
and
know,
like to add on what you're saying too, like talking about not putting the best players in the lineup. You had DJ LeMahieu, right?
oh
He's
my
played
God.
he's played 67 games, bro. Bro, his OPS is a 527. I don't think ever in my life I've seen a player hit under 600 OPS, bro. This
Same.
guy's hitting 527 OPS. OPS plus of 50. So he's half of like if league average is 100, he's half of that, bro. So it's like you're
Yeah.
literally one of the worst players in baseball currently, bro. Why are you playing so much? Why is the Yankees playing so much? Who's
Again,
telling Aaron Boone to create that suggestion in the lineup to play? His defense is not that good. His offense is awful. Like it's literally one of the worst players in baseball currently.
I just
Why
want
is
to
he
say
playing so much?
I love DJ LeMahieu. Previous like in previous years, he was one of my favorite Yankees. AL Silver Slugger, great
That's
player,
not him
great
no more though.
versatility. And you know, this decline is something that I have not seen in my years. But I'll put it like this: when A-Rod got DFA'd, the Yankees owed him 30 mil. When Aaron Hicks got DFA'd, the Yankees also owed him 30 mil. At the end of this year, the Yankees owe DJ LeMahieu 30 mil. I would not be I think that what they're gonna end up doing is they're gonna ride him out until the end of this year because I feel like they're just gonna be sad that in case they win it, he's not part of it. And I'm up to the point where I'm like, fuck that. Just put the best team out there.
And
So
then
I
and
think
then you got guys like Trevino also underperforming drastically this year.
oh, he's
Trent Grisham,
gone.
huh?
He's gone. Trevino lost his starting spot. And I think that going into future years, he's gonna want to have a starting position. He's gone.
Then you got Trent Grisham that does not hit a lick of baseball, bro. And it's
No,
like,
absolutely not. He shouldn't even be in the majors. And he has like five minor league options. You know who they should bring up from the minors, who's also an
Jason,
outfielder? Jason Dominguez. But
yeah.
no, you're right, Trent Grisham. And I get it. I mean, put it like this, bro. Let me ask you this. What duo is better? Alex Verdugo and Trent Grisham or Jason Dominguez and Alex Verdugo? It's a no-brainer, bro.
I mean, it's
I'm pretty
I
sure
mean,
Jason Dominguez is gonna do better than Trent
I don't
Grisham.
love the Verdugo pairing, but it will have to be the one that has Dominguez for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he's not gonna go anywhere. He doesn't have any minor league options. And at the end of the day, Verdugo is gonna be fulfilling Trent Grisham's like spot on
And
the
I'll
roster.
take Verdugo over Trisham at that point. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So it's just, another thing that I want to go ahead and dive into, and I know you want to go ahead and do that, is just, dude, the Yankees just, I don't know what the respect factor is that they don't want to make these tough decisions and hurt these players' feelings. Fuck that, bro. Just put the best team out there. That's the point that I can't even raise my voice anymore because I feel like I already.
But you see, like I wanted to have this discussion because I want you to see the roster from the Mets to the Yankees, and if you look up and down, like I feel like this team it's not as balanced. It's not as heavy on depth, you know? Like it's literally relying on the big three with Soto, Stanton, and Judge to carry the whole roster, bro. And my concern is when the playoffs come, you're facing the best pitching possible. If those guys are getting walked or not hitting, like what happens next? You know, how does a rally
Yeah.
produce? How do you come back from behind and scrape hits, people on base for the right hitters to get to drive them in? You know, that's the question marks, bro. And that's what concerns me about the Yankees. Like, yeah, you know, Yankees have a top four record in the whole MLB, but that goes out the window, bro, when you get bounced in the first round, bro.
It does. And how many more times is that going to happen? Like you look at the acquisition of Jazz Chisholm, who I remember he stole second base because he felt like he could beat the third baseman to the bag. Like those are the type of players that we need.
Yeah,
Dogs,
he's a game
actual,
changer.
he's a complete game changer. His WRC plus is higher now than in a shorter amount of time than it's ever been when he was in the Marlins. But
Yeah.
we're running out of time here. I want to go ahead and dive into another question mark for the Yankees. And I knew this was something that was gonna haunt us. I knew it, bro. I want to go ahead and share this clip and
Oh
look at
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Bases loaded.
Yeah. I was watching that game. That's a bad loss, bro, because you guys was winning most of the game. Y'all was dominating them the whole time.
Bro, he walked like every hitter. Every hitter. Like Clay Holmes to me is the shakiest closer. And I mentioned this in the previous episode. I don't like his pitching music when he comes into pitch. I feel like it's very relaxed. And I feel like this dude is like he pitches to contact. He doesn't really get a lot of strikeouts. Why would you want that as a closer? It's not like the Yankees are treating him like he's the closer. But check this out. He was a substitute to Aroldis Chapman when we had Chapman and he decided to get a tattoo at the end of the
Yeah.
season and he ended up getting an infection and then he ended up not showing up for the playoffs. He was the replacement to that. So it's not like this is somebody that you brought in as a closer and say, you're going to be the closer. We're paying you X amount of dollars and we expect you to do this. No, this literally fell on his lap. Maybe it was something that he didn't want to happen. Depending on his character, bro, I wouldn't even tell that he's a closer. There's even by the way that he talks and the way that he gives his answers. Another thing, he broke out of camp, the
What do you mean?
closer. So
What do you mean?
it wasn't even like it was established even before that. No, he just so happened to earn the position going into spring training. Why are you protecting this guy? Why can't the franchise go ahead and admit, like, yo, we're gonna be open to any suggestions? No, they're gonna say that they're gonna get creative with the closer. They don't want to say that he lost his job. They just want to say that, oh, we're gonna get creative. Just say that he lost his job, bro.
But I got a
Like,
question for you. Like from as a Met, like as a Met fan, I've seen Edwin Diaz struggle this year, and I've seen him also be lights out. Right, the times that he struggled, and he struggled pretty often this year. Carlos Mendoza was willing to remove him from the closer spot, even if it's temporarily. Put him as a seventh inning reliever. Put him in blowout games just to get some work in. Maybe give him an extra day of rest. Like, but he's willing to take that risk, take that chance, let somebody else step up temporarily. I feel like that's something that the Yankees could have considered, especially having a better record. I feel like even so, you have more wiggle room to experiment. You know what I mean? It's
I agree. I agree 100%, dude. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like,
a lot of bad losses this year too, like that.
yeah, bro, he has 11,
That could have
11
been
blown
first place
saves.
this year. Y'all easily
That,
could have been first place this year, bro.
bro, take away. I'm not even gonna say because nobody's perfect. I'm not even gonna say take away the 11 blown saves. Give me
I,
five of them. Give me five. Six blown saves. Five of them he saved. Bro, that's a huge gap in the standings right now.
yeah.
You're gonna continue to roll out this guy, not have an answer as to who else can take his place. Who are you gonna have? Mark Leiter? No. Ian Hamilton is just coming back from injury. I feel like he was the one that had the most potential. Tommy Canley is the one that has the most experience. But again, Tommy Tight Pants, he's not really like a serious guy. If you know him outside of, playing in the MLB, as we watched in other podcast episodes, he's a clown. He's a funny guy. I don't know. I just felt like that was an answer that I just knew for a fact at the trade deadline that it was tough. And then here's the other thing. In the trade deadline, Jason Adams got traded. Tyler Scott got traded. There weren't really a lot of options out there in the trade market. So we ended up rolling with Clean Homes. But at the end of the day, bro, the Yankees, a team built on excellence, you guys should be more prepared for these sorts of scenarios.
I
I just
also
think,
feel. I also. Mhm.
no, go ahead, go ahead. That was my point.
I also feel like the Yankees org also gets blinded by accomplishments and accolades. So, for example, I want to say Jose Trevino. He was the All Star like 2 years ago. I still don't think he deserved it that year, but they gave it to him. Sure. Same thing with Clay Holmes this year. He was the All Star, and look at the fallout now. So I feel like they're banking on all these players for All Stars, so they deserve this spot. Or we can't get rid of them so soon, or we can't give up on them yet. But at the end of the day, like I feel like there's like a lack of understanding with a lot of Yankee fans or the Yankees organization. Like they have to win this year, bro. Like this is the year they should win. One, it's the most open and balanced that I've ever seen baseball in several years. Like anybody can take it. That's within the playoff hunt. You have the two best American League players in your team. The time is now. And you have to put the best quality players, the best lineup you can make to win, bro. Like this is the year to make that run. And the Yankees, they have a very suspect defense. The bullpen is shaky, and there's a lot of question marks within the lineup and on the pitching side. So there's a lot of things to
Yep.
worry about. That's my take.
I will say this, and I'm gonna end it with this point. There was a big gap in the Yankees franchise, where they won a championship in 1978.
Yeah,
I think they won 1977 and 1978.
the
18
drought,
years later,
the
they
drought.
won their first championship in 1996.
Yeah,
The Yankees' last championship, that was 18 years.
yeah,
The Yankees' last championship was 2009.
15.
This is going to be the 15th year that we do not win a championship. We're 3 years away from tying our longest drought. I'm going to be honest. I think that this year we have a shot, but it's not something that I will bank on. I think next year with the additions of Jason Dominguez and having a lot of a little bit more flexibility with money, hopefully if Juan Soto comes back, and if we delegate, our funds into the bullpen, maybe add another arm. We bring up Jason Dominguez, a full
Listen,
year
Tyler,
yeah, I feel like next year we're gonna have a better shot. And I feel like if next year we don't win, I feel like that we will essentially last longer in this drought. And I'm sorry to tell these Yankee fans, but we're three
And
years away from tying
that's
the
all on
drought.
Soto at the end of the day too. That's only if he stays. If he
And
leaves,
that's
I
only
feel
if
like
he
there's a whole
stays.
bunch of question marks that will happen. But
And here's another thing, as a GM, I'm the type of person where if things are not working, I will say blow it up, get your assets, get your prospects, tank a couple years and essentially rebuild the franchise. The Yankees are not the type to do that. And I feel like this is going to be an extremely hard roster reconfiguration if these things don't work. You still have Aaron Judge for the next couple of years, Garrett Cole for the next couple of years. And it's crazy because I don't think they're going to end their careers without winning a World Series. They're just that good. But I don't
and
know.
and you mentioned a drought. The difference is that in the previous drought between the late '70s to the early '90s, the Yankees teams was pretty bad. The difference with this drought is that the teams has been pretty good in terms of record wise, but they haven't been able to get over the hump. Either beat the Astros, the team that they're supposed to, they're arch, nemesis.
Yeah, yeah.
And ever since
And we
that,
still lost and we still lost to the Red Sox too throughout that time
at some
span.
point, so it's like, are you really gonna maximize Judge's future? Like at this point, it's not making the playoffs is not enough. Like it's the goal is to win, especially as the Yankees of the brand. Um, I would say though that to humble a lot of Yankee fans too, because you guys are very toxic. Maybe not you, but as a community, you guys are very toxic, right?
Right. I get it.
Yankees have 80 wins, right?
Yep.
The Mets have 76 wins. So to me, it is like it's not a conversation where you could just big bro, little bro, the one team or the other. Like the teams are not that far apart in terms of record. Like it can't just be like, oh, the Mets suck. Nah, they don't suck. Like at this point of the season, they don't suck right now.
They
they
don't.
win in
You
the
can't say that.
conversation to make the playoffs. 4 games doesn't suffice a team that's here and here to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Any last points that you want to mention?
Yes, I have one last conversation. I want to see how you feel about it, and that's something that we're gonna keep going talking about it every episode for the rest of the season. So my conversation is the topic that's been going on in baseball. The American League MVP is pretty locked. Most likely than not, like 99% chance is Aaron Judge winning it. Some people are trying to make the case for Bobby Witt, but I don't think it's that close. Don't get me wrong, he's having a phenomenal year. But the combo is the National League MVP. Is it Otani or is it Lindor? Some would say that how can you give it to an MVP? Sorry, how can you give it to a DH? A DH has never won the MVP. A player that's a positional player impacts the game on defense and on offense, or a guy that pitches and DHs. Yeah, but Otani's strictly just a DH this year. Lindor, he's a shortstop, primary position. The team battling from 11 games under to what they are now. Lindor has been a big catalyst of the surges of the Mets. He's boosted his numbers tremendously in the last 70, 80 games. Who do you give it to, bro? Who's more valuable to you? How do you determine who's the MVP? A guy that went to a team that won 100 games last year with two other MVPs and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, or do you give it to a guy that didn't make the All Star team, but his numbers are MVP type numbers, hitting over 270, hitting close to 100 RBIs this year, over 30 home runs, over 25 stolen bases, playing close to Gold Glove defense at shortstop? Who do you value? Who's the MVP to you? How do you see it?
So first things first, those are two totally different questions. Who do I think the MVP is and who do I value? Two totally different questions. I'm gonna answer both. The MVP is gonna be Shohei Ohtani. The reason why is because the MLB and Shohei Ohtani and the publicity and everything that's gonna come
Vika.
out of him being an MVP. That's the reason why he's gonna win it. It's not something that I necessarily agree with, but that's just how it's gonna go. Number one. Number two, who do I value the most? The impact of Francisco Lindor. Example, Shohei Ohtani, even though the Dodgers have had a lot of injuries, they still have Mookie Betts, they still have Freddie Freeman, they still have a good cast around them. And on top of that, he's only hitting. How many times did David Ortiz win the MVP? Exactly. Even though he's doing remarkable things, potentially 50-50 and so on, I think that's going to be great. And I'm not hating on Shohei Ohtani, but the impact that Francisco Lindor has on that Mets team. Again, two totally different questions. I value Francisco Lindor's impact a lot more, and I feel like that's what defines an MVP. Somebody who is so much valuable to their team's success. That to me is the definition of an MVP. Now, if you look at Aaron Judge and I might contradict what I'm saying with Aaron Judge and Bobby Witt Jr., but here's the thing: if you take Aaron Judge away from the Yankees lineup, the Yankees suck. Like that's the
Yeah.
argument right there, bro. So and then Bobby Witt Jr. I mean, again, he's doing it for the Royals right now, but the Yankees have just been a little bit more successful. You take Aaron Judge away, and then on top of that, he's chasing history. So it's kind of like he has that winning for himself too. Now you flip the table. The value with Francisco Lindor, man, is just that to me was what defines the MVP. To me, it's the same thing as Aaron Judge. Their value is crucial to their team's success, and I feel like that's the reason why he should win it. But he's not going to because the MLB is gonna go ahead and continue to ride the Shohei Ohtani wave, man. They
Yeah,
want
I feel
that to
like
be the story.
media, and the players they love Otani too much. And don't get me wrong, I think Otani's a unicorn. And this conversation is not to say that Otani isn't better than Lindor. I think Otani's miles ahead better than Lindor. But we specifically talk about this season itself and the impact in winning. And it's hard because to your point, you take Judge out of the lineup, the Yankees suck. Probably the same with Bobby Witt, but more so with Judge, right? If you take away Otani from the Dodgers, I don't think they suck, bro. I think they will probably still win 100 games somehow. They're still going to be in the conversation to go in a deep run. Like Otani wasn't a need for them, you know. I compare that to like let's say it's like KD joining the Warriors. Like they didn't need him; it just made them better. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But Lindor,
Great point. Great
yeah.
point.
But you take away Lindor from that team, and it's like that team is not gelling the scene. That team is like on a stream roll and go on this run that they've been on. You
Woo!
know, so
Spitting that fire.
I always have a hard time when it comes to MVP because I don't really know I don't really know how the voters define an MVP. Is it the best player on the best team, or is it the best player that it's the most value to their respective teams? Because
Well,
that's two different conversations right there. You know?
I will say this. You know who does the MVP voting? Baseball writers.
Oh, they all too. They all
How
too.
our story is written by baseball writers.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the story, bro. Go ahead
But
and
yeah,
sign us out.
that's something keep the vibe flowing. If you guys want to say, share your opinion, agree or disagree, write it down in the comment section, share, subscribe. Thank you guys. This is episode 17. This is Gilbert. We got the Mets over here. We got Calvin. He got the Yankees over there, but I'm wearing a two-tone today, you see. I'm repping New York. Repping New
Yes,
York out
sir.
here. 17, you know.